It's made life more fun. It's made it easier. It's made it to where there isn't this fear of people being tortured forever by my father, you know? Which I think there's so much that happens to us psychologically that's detrimental to us. And I've met people that now are universalists, that were hardcore fundamentalists, that were flying out to other countries and preaching, and this one particular couple, and how damaged their daughter is. She's in her mid-20s now, and she still has to go to therapy because they believed in hell so much. They dedicated their whole life to try to save people from hell, and they instilled so much fear into their daughter that it messed her up psychologically. And it might not mess everyone up so overtly, but I think at subtle levels, it does mess with everyone. And it does affect everyone's life if we believe that is the nature of this reality and that is the nature of God. One of the false critiques that I've heard about universalism is, oh, you just want to live in your sin, right? So that's like one of the first things people will say if they find out you're a Christian universalist. They're like, oh yeah, that guy he's in love with his sin, he refuses to let it go, and so he's trying to make excuses to justify his sin. Oh, God will still love me, God will still let me in heaven even though I'm doing X, Y, Z, right? And it couldn't be further from the truth. It's actually the freedom from sin. Once you realize, it's this weird, it is the opposite of what our minds would think. It is the opposite of how our ego works. Our ego thinks you need punishment, you need these rules, and you need to be told constantly and instilled this fear so that you will behave, so that you won't sin. And the truth actually is once you realize you can sin and you're not going to be punished, the sin loses its grip on you. It's so counterintuitive. It's once you know, you actually can. You know, it brings death. And so when people will ask me like, oh, okay, so I could just go out and sin. I could go and do whatever I want. And my answer would be, well, you can. I wouldn't suggest it because it will bring death into your life, because the wages of sin are death. But you actually can. If you haven't tasted enough death, you know, and especially from Christians that have told me this, that have been Christians for 20 years, and then they'll get angry at Christian universalism and be like, well, why am I following Jesus at all? I should go and sin. You have, like, why are you following Jesus? If the only reason you were following Christ was not to go to hell, you've never been following Jesus. You have no idea who he is, and he hasn't done anything to transform your life, or you wouldn't have that question. Do you know what I'm saying? So to me, it's a very counterintuitive thing. If you know you can sin, and there isn't a punishment, God is not going to torture you forever. The punishment is in the sin. It is built into the sin. The sin you are committing brings death. It is a fact. It's a fact of this reality and this dimension. You will bear the fruit of the seeds you plant. You bear good seeds, you're going to bear good fruit. You plant bad seeds, you're going to bear bad fruit. It's just a fact of life. If you haven't tasted enough death, go ahead and taste some more. But it is not the fear of hell that will bring you to repentance. It is the goodness of God that will bring us to a true repentance.